He can still be a little jerk sometimes, but
do not call my child a jerk.
All kids are jerk. What up, everybody? This is Vashawn, Sandy, and this is Chasing Life.
We're back.
Back.
It was my first pregnancy and everything was pretty normal. We found out, we went and got our exam at 7 weeks. It was the happiest day of both of our lives. We have another son, so the second happiest day of yours, yes. And the first happiest day of mine. But the pregnancy went well. We went and had our prenatal checkups. I took the vitamins. I did all the recommended things. I mean, I cheated a little bit. I had some soda. And I didn't drink a lot of water.
Dr. Pepper was her thing.
Dr. Pepper was my thing for nausea. And but other than that, I had a C-section delivery.
She was sweet during the pregnancy. She didn't give me no problems, like very sweet.
I'm always sweet. Yes, I am. I'm always sweet.
Yeah.
But the pregnancy was normal. I didn't have any swelling. I didn't even have contractions. It was very easy. However, Chase was like very high and I barely dilated. And so that was why I had to get have a C-section.
Amniotic fluid?
There was very little amniotic fluid. And at the time that we got to the hospital, his heart rate was a little abnormal. And because I ate, we had to wait 8 hours because my mom insisted on feeding me some rice and chicken. So we went and they pulled us back at 11 o'clock and Chase was born, MLK Monday, 10 years ago, 2012.
When you're younger, you know a lot of things you don't know. So, you experience these things for the first time. So if, with another pregnancy, okay, hey, you're all right with this. I know, I've seen these symptoms before, so those types of things, whereas compared to 20, compared to 30s, yeah. So it was different, but it was still both, good pregnancies.
There's a big gap between our oldest child and Chase. It was still new to both of us because it had been 10 years. Yeah, so
it was new again.
Yeah, it was new again because it's, things change so much. I mean, from even the strollers to
I was gonna say, they had
the car seats, everything.
White now. Okay, I had to put it in the microwave and warm it up. Oh, they already got the warmers ready.
It was so
that.
different.
Yeah.
So it was new.
Right.
So it was still like we had to communicate, talk a lot, and then. I can't lotion my feet. He was so sweet, so loving. It really brought us close together. I think even closer together, just knowing that we have this little life growing that we created together. So it was really exciting, fun. Yeah. We were so into each other, so in love, and it was a great time. Yeah, it was a great pregnancy, a great time in our lives.
Yeah, well, for sure.
So pre-diagnosis, Chase was a very neurotypical child. He met all his milestones. He held his own bottle. He said, "Mama, Dada." He was cooing. He was doing all the things that...
He ate everything from... We used to get chili at Wendy's, the little chili at Wendy's, from that to Egos.
Like that was when he was like 1.5, going on 2.
Anything that we, put in front of him, basically.
And he had eye contact. He would kiss us. Affection wasn't difficult with him. He was extremely loving, affectionate. He cried like any normal child, but not excessively. He would go to people. He was very friendly. He didn't show any signs of what now we would think was autism. He didn't rock, or he didn't have difficulty listening to loud noises. He didn't do anything that we saw later on that would indicate that, autism was on the horizon for him. And he was just a sweet baby. It was just so fun. And it still is fun. But he was fine, pre-diagnosis. Everything was fine. His first birthday, everything was great. He even said, happy birthday. Those were like his first official words. And then 14 months, he did walk late. He started to walk at 14 months. And but he crawled, he rolled over, he did everything. And then my mother died when he was 9 months. And so we had to let him go to my in-laws in Virginia for a little while we got things settled down. And so then we had our daycare and everything lined up for him. But when we went to the daycare, they said we had to have a certain amount of shots for him. And so we didn't know then that we could have either had a religious excuse, or we could have asked for a more conservative administration of the vaccines. But
at that time, we didn't know.
We didn't know.
We're doing what, the normal routine is for a child.
And we asked our physician at the time, is this safe to give all these vaccines at the time?
Yeah, we did
at
have
the same
questions,
time, we had a lot of questions and concerns.
Yeah, at that time, because autism was coming into the forefront, started learning a little bit more about autism and, different diagnoses, things that people were seeing. And, we did ask our questions, but, regular, normal questions that any parent would ask,
Yeah, we were definitely concerned, and we were reassured that there were no information that, that
those vaccines
that showed vaccines or anything like that would cause any issues. So, we did take our time doing it, but eventually at about 15 months, we had like a set of 4 of them given to him at the same time. And that day was the day he came home. I had to go to work. My husband worked the night shift, so he was with him all day. And so my husband called me at work, and he's like, Chase has not moved off of me all day long. He's literally been laying here all day with a low-grade fever. It was about like 99. And so I was like, okay, well, it's probably just the vaccines. I work in the medical field, so I was like, it's just the vaccines, and it's just normal. And so don't worry. And so we proceeded with him. And I wouldn't say we noticed right away all these things, we didn't notice right away, but slowly but surely we started noticing things like him counting down the steps, over and over.
But he was amazing at counting. I was like, hold on, you know how to count from 1 to 20 or 20 to 1. Like, it was it's a little bit early for him to know it like this, but he did it.
Yeah, he used to watch Leapfrog all the time. And that was also when he used to want to watch the scenes over and over again. And he used to line his toys up, in a straight line. And before that, he was in his crib making his cars go vroom and playing with them appropriately. And we started noticing lining of the toys, just a little different play, and just kind of rewinding the same episodes, listening to things over and over again.
And then the regression in food. So remember, I was telling you about chili, Eggos, anything like that. He started regressing with his food. So those foods that were normal, he would push away. He wouldn't eat now. He might take a bite or so, but then he wouldn't want it. So he started going down to certain foods that he would eat.
And if you would attempt to give it to him, he would get so mad he would hold his breath and pass out, turn blue. It was extremely scary. Our doctor's office has an app that they use called Chattis. This is a very important part here. they send it a few days before the appointment, and you have to answer a certain amount of questions that basically let the doctors see if your child is meeting milestones. Like, are they eating with a spoon? Are they able to hop on one foot and the other? Are they able to use their fingers and point, put them together? Are they able to give eye contact? Do things like that? Do they like to scream? Do they cover their ears when they hear loud noises? So all these things are indicative that something's going on with your child. So they kind of pre-screen for.
But at this point, as normal parents, just thinking, I mean, he's 2 years old. Like, what do you, I understand certain things that he would want to do, but like, he's a 2-year-old child. He might not want to play with you, or he might not know who you are. So he might not play with you. So, it's different things like that.
Yeah, so we didn't think anything of it. But, I work with children, so I did see some delays, but, and I don't have any of my family members with autism. I had never had exposure to autism outside of what I saw at work. And what I did see at work was screaming, difficulty communicating, certain things like that. So we didn't see that, but now knowing that it's the spectrum now, we realize that in hindsight that some of the things we were seeing were strong signs, like him chewing his shirt. We didn't know, but that was an oral sensory thing that they seek. So we would wake up and his shirt is all chewed up and wet. Like I said, he was counting over and over again. And the language did subside. We would tell him, hey, go get your shoes and your coat. They would ask us, can they take
she had a new name. Her name was Sia.
Yeah, he would
called her Sia.
He stopped calling me mama. He called me Sia. And we would say, yeah, go get your shirt, go get your shoes. And he would not be able to follow those compound commands like the doctor asked us, could he follow those commands? And so I would get the questionnaire and I would just try and say, okay, let me just see if he could. I've never tried that. And then I know like the little, does he pick up things with his 2 fingers? Those are fine motor skills that they also check. And we didn't know fine motor skills, gross motor skills.
Does he roll the truck back and forth, or does he just play with the wheels on the truck? Spin the wheels and just,
spinning. That was a big thing. Did he spin? Did he like to see things spin? And so we're like, oh wow, he does, but like I said, my first child, I didn't know that was something I needed to be looking for.
Right. They had something called stimming, where he looks out the corner of his eyes. And that's one thing that I know I saw for sure. He did he looked out the corner of his eye, and he'll start spinning around, or do little certain things like that. But it, in a way, that calmed him down because he had to get it out of him, if that makes sense. But that was one thing that I did see outside of the regression of the food and, like I said, the language barrier. That's one thing that they stated that you see, that I saw in him.
And walking on his tippy toes. He did walk on his toes, and then eventually, when he did start using language, he talked high pitch, and he also copied a lot of the cartoons he was watching. So we used to watch like Cars, and when he wanted to reach out to you or for you to pick him up, he would say, hang on, hang on. And so he would repeat it the very same way the cartoon said it. And so we learned that was like echolalia.
Echolalia, yeah. But he used it properly, if that made sense. He had his own little words that he might have saw in a movie or might have saw on a TV show, but it made sense as what he was. Oh, he means this, like you said.
He knew how to apply it.
Right.
It was just not the atypical way of. Not atypical. It was not the typical way of applying it.
Right. Let's go to diagnosis day.
We went to a 2-year checkup, and as soon as the doctor walked in, he just was standing there a few minutes, and he said, "I'm almost willing to bet Chase has autism." And I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, we've seen some changes, and we've seen some things that don't seem typical, but he said, I said, but what made you think that? He said, well, they're supposed to have stranger danger or react to a stranger when they walk in. Well, he didn't. He didn't even acknowledge my presence. He walked right through my legs, and he didn't acknowledge me at all. And so I said, okay. And so I started crying immediately, and I blamed myself. I thought surely those Dr. Peppers or something that I was doing. I thought the flu shot I took while I was pregnant, because you do hear all these conspiracies and you really don't know what to think. So I blamed myself, for why, because it just, all of a sudden it just happened. But working in the industry, I was told, well, 2 years old is when the onset of autism usually typically starts to rear its head. So, there were a lot of questions. But the thing about it, I think we both kind of saw signs, and we were very much not in denial. Once we cried, we just dusted our shoulders off, picked ourselves up, and we were just like, so now what? What do we do?
Yeah, I was like, he's gonna be okay, and that's always been my mindset. We're going to treat him just like a regular child. You treat him like he has a disability or something's going wrong. That's how he's gonna react. So let's go ahead and continue. He's gonna be all right. We got this. You always have to have that positive mindset, because this is your child, and you're gonna try to raise him and do what's best for him. And that's always what we tried to do. We always had to try. I mean, Sandy was, boo-hooing, my child will never say he loves me, different things like that. And I said, but if he never says it, or if he does say it, your son will always love you. Don't ever think, that your child wouldn't love you, or, or would be able to say it. Because, yeah, some kids are not able to say it, but that parent still knows that that child loves them. So know that your child is going to love you. And I just try to have that positive mindset going forward, because we're going to have to raise this boy. Let's do it,
Yeah. And so it was, I'm not going to lie, you are very fearful. All you think about is your child is the future. What are they going to be? What are they going to do? Are they going to be okay when you're no longer here with them? And so all those things just came flooding my mind. And when once I knew it wasn't my fault, and I got over that fact, I just was like, okay, well, how will his future look? And so those were the things that brought the most fear. But
that's with any child, right? You always raising them for when you're not here.
Yeah.
When you close your eyes, you know that your child is okay. Autism or no autism, you always want to set your child up for the future. And he was an extra hurdle for him, but we were gonna try our best to make sure that he was okay, and still to each day try to make up.
Yeah, and so you have to kind of lick your wounds and pick yourself up, and
it's hard.
Gather your team and just say
those days,
and just say to yourself that, okay, this child's gonna have autism, whether we decide to cry our days and nights away, or whether we decide to push forward and pray it out, and and you can do things scared, but just make sure you still do them. And you're gonna have to fight for your child. You're gonna advocate for your child, and it is gonna get exhausting. And it is going to. And I'm gonna tell you, we didn't have a clue, and this is why we wanted to start this page. We didn't have a clue as to what we were doing, or what we were gonna do, but we just knew we had to do something, because you have to help your child reach the best potential they can be. And we never even had him thinking he has to be the CEO. We never had these expectations of perfection of him. We just wanted a child. We loved each other. We wanted to have a child, and we had a child. And this adversity came, but we were just gonna together just take it on and move forward. And so once we decided to just accept the diagnosis and just figure out, okay, how are we gonna move forward with him and help him, we just kind of just did that. And it was it was not an easy experience. It was not an easy journey. And like I said, no one knows what they're doing, because if you met a child with autism, you met one child with autism. That's the saying. None of them are the same. They all have different things that, make them unique and make them different. So, even if you can ask someone, your child might not be experiencing that. And so you really just praying for alignment and praying that, the right people come along your path to help you through that journey.
And I always tell Sandy that autism is the balance of the world, if that makes sense. These kids are fearless. These kids, they know so much, and you take pride in the small things to where, some things you would just overlook, like, that's how it is, But the first time he said a certain word, or the first time he put his coat on, and knew not for us to tell him, different things like that, that's a major win. That's like, LeBron, that's like, somebody winning the championship. Because, again, you take the small things for granted a lot of times.
Yes.
And those small things are major wins with children with autism. And, again, like I said, they're the balance of the world. Most of these kids are super sweet. Super sweet. So much that goes on.
You just have to meet them where they are.
Right.
And and that's the challenge. Most people don't understand what's happening, and so they shy away from conversations. They really don't interact, or they don't know how to interact because of the repetition of words or the screaming. Also, they do cover their ears when they hear things that they don't like, and so people don't want to scare them, or just they don't know how to interact. And so but a lot of our friends were so good at just meeting Chase where he was, and so it made it a really good experience. We had a really supportive team, and that's a big part of the journey. Just educating. In the beginning, I did isolate, because I was just like, they're not going to know how to handle this if this happens. They're not going to know how to do this if this happens. If he runs in the street, he's a runner. Let me not let them watch him, because I'm afraid they're going to call me and tell me my child was hit by a car. And really, you will isolate, but I want to tell moms, and dads, don't isolate yourself. Don't isolate your child. Educate people about your needs and their needs, so that they can, because people do want to know, they want to understand. A lot of times the difficulty around the conversation, they just don't know what to say, especially if they don't have experience with a child that is on the spectrum, which most people really don't. And so you just have to take the time to tell them, he doesn't like food. So, if you give him these Cheerios in this bowl, he'll take them from you. Do that, and then he'll warm up to you. And once they try to do those things to engage, and you teach them, this is where you form the same bond you have with your own child, and this is how you start to form your tribe, and this is how your child also learns how to have relationships and bond with others, and so it's great for everyone involved, for the child, for you feeling supported, and for your friends that want to support you, but they just don't know how to.
People that don't know, they don't know the day-to-day of a child with autism, or they might have other friends that have children with autism, and they don't want to be awkward around them because they don't know, and that's fair. So to have them around and get to know him, to understand, he might not meet him where he is, like Sandy would say, meet the child where they are, try to help them, and get to know them. Like I said, amazing children. And autistic children. I can't stress it enough that it's so much that goes on within the world, all this type of negativity, and then sometimes you sit and you see the simple things, and you see the joys of something that you wouldn't think of that being the joy of, but it makes you happy to see, wow, look how just that one particular thing made them happy. They're not, just being. Yeah,
they're so sweet, and they're so innocent, and they're themselves. They don't know how to be anyone else.
But themselves.
And so when I would say that our son Chase has made us better people. I always say, I was born a second time. I was born a second time when I had him, and I didn't really even know who I was or who I had the potential to be until God gave me Chase, and raising him has given me so much patience, and it helps me understand people. It helps me give people grace and understand that I need to give myself the same grace as well. And he's made me so much better than I started. And he brings so much joy. He brings so much laughter. But I think had we moved in fear and tried to not let him be who he was authentically, who God sent him to be here and live in his own purpose, we would have made our own thing. And so what we did was less of us and more of him. Let him shine through. Let him be who he wants to be. And whoever liked it, they came around, and whoever didn't like it, they didn't come around, and we were fine with it all. And that's the thing, being at peace with it all, accepting it, and then just being on the other side of the fear and the anger. When you get to the side of the peace and the joy, it's so much better there. And things just evolve,
even on the
and
rough
he
days.
just grew, and you don't even realize that you're nurturing them. And here's this person that is making all these strides. Now he is talking, now he is eating on his own, now he is dressing on his own, because you didn't let all the other things, anxiety, fear, drive you, and that's something that didn't come easy. You have to work on that.
It's gonna be a daily process,
and it's a daily thing.
Let's backtrack. Chase is still a work in progress. We still working every day to try to help him.
He likes to recite commercials. He's going to recite commercials, and he's going to talk you to death about Legos. And that's the thing, meeting him where he is. You need to, if you don't like Legos, you should learn about Legos, and you need to get into them, because he's going to tell you about them. And if you want to connect with him, ask him, what is that Lego set, man? That looks cool. How do you build that?
Right.
And that's where you realize that they really are cool, and they really are fun.
You just have to meet them where they are.
You just have to meet them where they are.
It might be something that, oh wow, I'm into that too, and
that's where you connect and you relate.
Right? Yeah. You have to know your child. Again, like I said before, when we had the videos, or day to day of Chase, patty cake, we got videos of that, him doing that, eye contact, eating. But when you start seeing things change, again, we're not against vaccines or anything like that. But the day that, like I said, he had that temperature, like Sandy stated, he laid on me all day. From there, we saw the difference in him. So it's the fact of just basically just pay attention to your child. You start seeing little differences, and then you read up. We had to read up on because a lot of things, it's changing.
Yeah. Don't become a research junkie like I did, but
non-GMO, look,
no
red dyes, no. But you read it, and then you saw a certain change, because again, I'm like, Sandy, what? Oh, a red? He can't have no Kool-Aid. It's just some Kool-Aid for a little bit, but the red dye is not good. And we saw a difference in him when
you started listening. You started seeing.
I did. I mean, I started seeing certain things, so I became non-GMO, no preservatives. No, but I'm saying to say that you just have to know your child. If you see a difference, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, hey, I'm seeing this in my child.
Yes, for sure.
I want to know if, is this something, then they'll start research, because again, when you see the commercials, because you don't want your child is in a mold until they're a certain age, and then now they're stuck in this particular way, and then it's harder for them to adapt, and because they've been doing it for a certain amount of years. You find it early, or if you started seeing things early, question those things. If it's something that's to your heart, like something not sent right, ask. You just got to start seeing. Just pay attention to your kids.
So I'll piggyback to. I will say this. I was blessed enough my coworker actually has a child with autism. I work in a medical field with children. So I saw children every day. So those Definitely I would see a child doing something and I'm like, Chase is not doing that. And so I would say one thing, trust your instinct. And I'll piggyback off Sean, just don't be afraid to ask questions. Listen, I'm an open book. I ask, I don't shy away from telling. And you really don't be ashamed and don't feel bad that you're seeing these things. And I know it's scary when you think autism or you hear the word autism, there's so much negative connotation, and this is why we really want to do this. And I was scared to death, y'all, to put my child out there because but I know there's a greater purpose, and I know we just have to listen to that voice inside that tells us do this so we can help. But we didn't have a clue. We didn't know. And so you have to ask, you have to be able to seek help and not be ashamed of it. Don't feel bad about it. But, and like I said, there's apps that you can go online if your doctor's office doesn't do it. And everything's not autism. There are sensory issues that are sensory alone. And I always tell people,
I think we all have sensory issues.
And I always tell people, how you don't like your wet foods to touch your dry foods. How you don't like to hear a box screeching or scraping because it hurts your ears. If you just imagine those things that you feel that you don't like, that's what they feel, but all the time, or for a certain particular thing, and it's a lot of things, and it's all of the time. So theirs gets exacerbated. So their response is just more often. And what really the rehab and the help does is help them desensitize all those things, and you expose them, but you do it in a way that they can handle it. You do things, but you modify it to a way that they can handle it. And that's how little by little you start to see your child really excelling and being successful and doing things in a way that autism doesn't hold them back. And that's why you need to seek the help, even if you have an inkling, even if you think something. And when your family and friends say, hey, do you think that's a little odd? Don't feel bad. Remember, they care about you. Remember, they're there as, your eyes and ears when you don't see it. So don't take things personal. Just say, what?
And they don't know, And at first it was a little hard, like why they question certain things, but you have to realize that they're ignorant to the fact they don't know. So they.
But a lot of times they're pointing things out that actually need to be pointed out. So what I was just saying was just when people say, hey, you should check that out. They've seen, especially like older adults, they've seen things before. So they are able to tell you, hey, that's not really typical. And so check that out. And then there are some other family members or friends that say, girl, he's just a boy. It's going to take time. Boys are just noisy. They're later learners. You have to trust your instincts because when something's not normal.
Right.
And so you can't just let people tell you how to raise your child either. You have to be an advocate and take initiative when you have that thing in your heart as a parent that's telling you, because you're with them day in and day out. You trust your instinct. They might tell you, girl, just wait, girl, or just don't even worry about that. I wouldn't worry about that. Oh, my son did the same thing. You trust your heart. You trust your instincts when you see something. Even, I wouldn't say you're overreacting, but there's nothing wrong with erring on the side of caution and just checking it out. And hey, if it's not, whoop-de-doo. But if it is, you'll know and you'll get an early handle on it. So
that's what that I guess more so when Chase was diagnosed, he was 2 years old. It was the balance of reading up on what autism was compared to just a child, a normal boy just, doing normal things. So that's why, it came to when they asked the question does he roll the truck? Does he play with the truck normal? Does he play with you with the truck? Or does he just sit there and play with the wheel? Things you wouldn't think about, but those types of things. So you just have to pay attention to your child.
And they're all different. So all really, different. Honestly, no one can really tell you. You just have to, trust your instinct, ask questions, advocate. Don't be ashamed. Don't be scared. Autism can be a scary word only if you let it. I think that once we start changing our mindset about how to approach autism, that's where true acceptance and awareness and all the change can happen.
Right.
We have to stop letting the stigma and what the world wants to tell us about what autism is, and we start showing our children and showing the world what autism is. And they're not setbacks. They're not hard to love. They're not, a nuisance. They're human beings that at the core and at the basic needs of everyone, they need love, understanding, and caring. And that is pretty much what everybody needs to know about autism. We have these narratives in our head, and so as soon as we hear, oh, your child needs to be in SPED and not in general ed population, you think that your child is less than, because that's what the world told you, that your child is less than. That's what you brought up knowing. But my mama taught me and my dad taught me, you don't let anybody tell you who you are. You tell them who you are. And all these narratives that were taught to put you in a box, these children live out of the box. You have all your time to be in the tombstone in the box. While you're on this earth, while you're in this world, you live out the box, and the world wants to put you in that box. They want to tell you what you're gonna do, where you're gonna go. And you know what? That's what I love about my son. Every day he shows up and he's like, you're not gonna tell me who Chase is. I'm gonna tell you who I am. And either you're gonna love it or you're not gonna love it. But either way, I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna be who I am. And I just love that about him. And that's another big thing that, you mentioned, was just that you have to be able to put in the work too. I'm going to talk to my child. I'm going to go to speech therapy. I'm going to go to physical therapy. We're going to go to swim. I'm going to find this money by any means necessary. If I got to do a GoFundMe, I'm not going to be prideful. With God on my side, I'm going to move heaven and earth to do what I have to do for my child. And that's really another big piece of it. They show up, but you also have to be willing to put that work in, because you can't just perform a magic trick and make it go away. You have to put in the work. When people see Chase, we always say, this is years of running around, meeting my mother-in-law, tagging Sean in. Okay, you got to go to speech. All right, I'll go to swim. Okay, let me fill out this form again, because you're gonna fill out 20 million forms asking you the same question about your child. But you fill out those 20 million forms because those forms are going to get you free assistance. They're going to get you local assistance. They're going to get you help from other autism programs, because that's another big thing, resources. You're going to run into a lot of frustration because there's a lack of resources, be it autism is growing. They say there's 1 in 50 children that's on the spectrum. And so, of course, now you find a block with, there's not a speech therapist that I can go to at 4 o'clock when he comes out of school. Oh, my job's not going to let me off, so I don't know how to get my child here. And not only that, but there's feeding therapy, but there's a year waiting list. And so all those things can be frustrating. But what I would say is never give up, keep calling around. Maybe you might find, there's a hole right here. Put me on the waiting list, and reach out to other places. And I know it's not easy to do, but we moved in a different city to get help that we needed to get help, just because of the lack of resources, where we were. And I'm not saying that's an easy thing to do for everyone. Everyone just can't get up and leave. But I'm just saying, you be prepared to do whatever you need to do. And it's gonna be beneficial, and you will see the change. You will see it's all going to be worth it. All the sacrifice, all the blood, sweat, and tears, it's so worth it when you see your child just coming into themselves and living just a more fruitful and happy life. Because while everybody's convincing you, chase the bag, chase the money, honestly, chase the happiness. And those are the things that bring us true joy. Watching Chase just be so happy. Every day I ask him, son, you feel good about yourself? Are you happy? He says, yes. I'm kind. I'm a good person. And so knowing that he feels good about himself is all I need. Is all we need.
And I say, too, to piggyback also off of what you said, and parents, put your pride aside. Forget what that person might think. Forget what, I'm not trying to, what your mom might think, what your family, your friends. You are out here to raise your child. Do what's best for your child. And with that too, the weight comes off of you, because at the end of the day, you did what was best for your child. I know I filled out these forms. I went to, look, we're not rich, so we did everything we needed to do, pull, pinch, and did all we had to do to try to make our child's life better. So know at the end of the day that you did it in love. You put your pride to the side. I did what's best for my child. And however the chips may fall, you still know you tried. And you still know, that's with anything in the world though. Anything you do in life, you have to try. I tried. I did it. I if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. You wanted to, but you tried and did your best.
And I would say it's just the last thing to add to that, even when it's not even if it's, I would say this, whatever you have in your mind of your expectations of where your child should be, that when you go into speech, don't think they're gonna come out just speaking, reciting dialogues and all kind of things. Right. The progress they make is their progress. And just always be grateful for wherever those therapies lead them. Even if they're not Einstein and, all these other people out here, just love them right where they are. And just know and be proud of them right where they are, whether they still need to use a pad to communicate or sign language, and their handwriting is still not great, and they're still reciting commercials all day long. Just love them right where they are, and always be okay with who they are, no matter what outcome of the therapy, whatever the outcome of the therapies, are. The point of doing this video is not to give you all any medical advice or tell you do this or do that, because we are not medical professionals. We are just telling you what we experienced, what we saw, trying to help you and create a little community for someone to reference if they're going through this particular thing with the autism journey. And so this is why we are so passionate about just showing you the strides that Chase has made in life, from the beginning to now at 10 years.
So it's not the fact that we know it all, we got autism figured out. We're learning together, and we're just sharing our experiences as well.
Well, that was good though. Yeah, we are learning together. We don't know everything. We are still learning to this day. And so we just want to share our experience so that, if people want to reference or ask questions, or, that they know that we're here, and we can show through example, and give people hope, honestly, that autism diagnosis is not the end of the world. Just because it's not what you expected, that it doesn't mean that it's not good, and it doesn't mean that it can't even be better than what you thought. I just want you all to have some hope and know that you're not alone. And that's all that we wanted to create this page for, not to give any medical advice. But we do have social media pages that follow Chase, and obviously our video here that we made, and we'll have that in the link below. So just check us out, and we hope that you appreciate and like what we're doing, because we're not experienced, so we are not scripted. We are just coming straight from the heart, and hoping to help. Even if it's just one person, just to help that one person.
Day-to-day basis, we're learning every day. Again, we're sharing our experiences, but again, we don't know it all. So things that we can discuss with each other can help us on our end. Like, wow, we never knew that. Or, like I said, we're a work in progress, and we're here to just help any way that we can, because again, we want people with autism to be seen and heard, and know that they're normal people just like anybody else, and that they deserve to be loved, cherished, and taught and
celebrated. They deserve to be treated with kindness, with understanding, with grace.
Yes.
And we all deserve it.
We all deserve it.
And so do they. They are human. Right. They are human just like us, and we're all in this world just needing a little more love and kindness and patience.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Oh, hold on. We gotta have Chase come down.
Oh yeah. We gotta.
All right, Chase.
What?
I told you stop yanking them things out.
But it was bleeding. Let me just give me.
Yeah.
Give you a minute, and we do some salt water.
Okay, so he has pulled out. That's
his fourth tooth
that he's pulled.
My goodness.
Pulled out. It gets too wiggly, and it's not like you'll put a string on the door.
But he's a savage with it, Lord.
He's like
just
pulling it out. Like that's number 4.
That's the fourth tooth.
There you go.
Chase, look at that circle and say, hey. Look at the circle. Right, you don't have to be perfect.
Hey, I'm Chase England, and look, my child has pulled out my tooth. And
I see another tooth in there coming in too.
Yeah.
I see why. Yep.
And what? So tell them a little bit about you, Chasey.
First I pulled out 1, 2, 3, 4 tooths.
You did.
I pulled out when I was in school, and I pulled them out when I was at home, and I pulled the 4th tooth out.
Tell them what you like. Tell them what you like to do.
I like to be a super cool pro.
Oh yeah.
Is that right? Super cool pro of what? Building Legos.
Yeah.
What else?
Giving love to my friends and even my teacher and my mom.
Told you.
He did try to wrap his arm around you. I'm just a favorite.
But you know.
Bye everybody.
Give him a cool dance move.
Okay.